Yes, I think we're good. Okay, yeah. So, hi, I'm Shreya. Of course, all of you know that because this was only for like very close family friends. And for those of you who know me, you've known me as a traveler, somebody who's into music, DJ, events, and of course, I throw the best parties. This is a picture from my apartment in Paris, and we've had like some of the most amazing, amazing, amazing days here. So yeah, but like this, all this while, it's been a journey, and I wanna today talk about what I've been up to in the past 3, 4 years, more cumulatively, I feel in the past decade or so, because I'm at this point where I feel that everything that I've done is sort of coming together. Like there was this point because I went to Paris to study fashion, and I never really worked in fashion, so you start wondering that what's happening, where is all of this coming to use. But now I feel that okay, everything that I've done, even the smallest projects, the smallest experiments, have led me to where I am today. So my hustle obviously begins with my strategy, which is be shameless and go in with all heart. So I have a very jugaru way of doing things. I have been super resourceful, and yeah, I believe in like just being authentic and showing up with what you have to say, and that has led me to working with some amazing people on some amazing projects. Like this was me DJing in Niseko and working with international festivals in Morocco, London, and somehow landing on a random food bloggers YouTube in Japan. And of course, like it's given me the good fortune of being in rooms with like the likes of people who I of course admire. That's Pratik Kuhar on the right. There's Ahad. He's a very famous DJ now, and he does some amazing work for the South Asian community. So I feel really lucky that because of my work I get to hang out with these people, take my friends to say hi to them. And yeah, all of this also led me to how I accidentally started my third business, which is Japaland. I'll get to that bit in a part, like what happened before. We're not really doing chronology here, but this is what happened. So this says December 27th, but I remember I was in SF at a friend's, and it was really after Christmas. So we as of December 26th, I get this email. So the context is that when my second business failed, which was Noisy Women, I was like in this phase where I didn't know what to do, didn't have any savings, was nearly broke, and I was looking on LinkedIn, and there was this advertisement which was like get paid to travel. And I was like, there's nothing really to lose. And this was back in May 2023. And my friends in Paris were already planning a trip to Japan. So I was like, okay, worst case, like I could pitch this to them because they're anyway planning to go. And I was supposed to be organizing it. And I forgot about it. So, cut to December, I actually get this person who's actually paid on a trip. And I was like, whoa. And between all of this, I was like, doing odd jobs. I was working with festivals, doing some consulting gigs, DJing a bit. So yeah, it was kind of funny when this happened because we were like Snigdha and I was with this friend in SF. We were also talking about things related to Japan and all that. And this happened. Now we get to the crashes. Of course, like, these are all the good parts that I've told you, but anybody who's ever done anything like, independently or even life for that matter, there's like, it's like just goes like this, right? So, first of all, Noisy Women, I am so grateful that I had that experience. Susan, who was my business partner, she was earlier my coach and is a very dear friend, continues to be. We got into business together. I learned a lot in in those 6 months. But, like, for me, there's a thumb rule that you need to give 6 months to any new experiment that you're trying. If it doesn't work out, then you have to move on. There were other things that we weren't aligned on, like she wanted to build a coaching business. I really wanted to do something in like say media production and alternative education. So we couldn't really come together, and it felt a bit unfair because Noisy Women had been her dream for like the longest time. So I had to step down, and yeah, that happened. It left me like in a very confused space, so to speak, because of course, like reality is money. You have to pay your bills and stuff. But apart from that, I was also like, okay, I'm really confused about how I go forward from here. And the previous travel trip that I told you guys about, where I was like, running a trip for a bunch of strangers, that was a super, super profitable project. So I feel that in so far, in terms of apart from consulting, other individual projects that I've done. In the books, this made amazing sense. It had great margins, but it was a total mess. A total mess how? Because out of the six people, three wanted to file a lawsuit against me. Some of you know this, most of you don't know this. But basically, what had happened is that they weren't satisfied by the way I managed and led the trip. And of course, I was wrong and I take full accountability. I didn't do things the way they expected. And for me, it was also the first time. So there were a lot of like miscommunication, logistical errors, like things really went wrong on that trip. And at the end of it, after 14 days, some of them, wrote to me for a refund. And the business person in me was like, there's no way that's happening, because you can't, come to a restaurant, eat the food, and then complain about it not being good, because I'd already given them the option to sort of quit and take a refund on the second day. Anyway, so that taught me a lot. I feel that it's been like my steepest learning curve in the history of my career. And yeah, back then, like, I did understand that there's a lot of potential in this format of a business, like a travel business. But I'd never really actively thought about making travel my, main source of income, so to speak, because I mostly travel for fun. And I didn't really think about it organically. But when this happened, it started something inside of me about, okay, there's definitely something in here to explore. And this one, I really need to take a pause, because the decision to leave Paris after 6 beautiful years there has probably been one of my top three most difficult decisions. And I know a lot of people are not in these pictures, but these people, and when I say it, I mean it, that they are my family. Like, the kind of support they've extended to me over the years, and be it, like lending money, lending advice, giving me a year to, like just listening to me, just hugging me when I'm crying, and just always being positive and being a source of sort of reinforcement that you are on the right path, you've got this. It was really a tough decision. And while all of what I just said was happening, parallelly, I was also having visa issues in Paris, which is why I gave myself a deadline. Issues started someplace in January last year, and I was like, okay, first September, you either figure it out, which is you either have a visa or you get out. You have to get out of here. Otherwise, life felt stagnated. Like, I couldn't do anything without a visa, right? So, like, my residence permit was needed if I needed to start a new company, do anything constructive, etc. So yeah, I came back to. I didn't come back to India originally. I went to Morocco. I was working at a festival. I also got my big break. Like, I played at an international music festival in Japan. It was a small festival, but for me that was like such a big thing to have happened, because I only started teaching professionally like what 1.5 years back. So that was big. And then, of course, another crash was that the first set of trips that we launched under Japaland, those failed. I'm not going to talk into why. Of course, we've done a lot of analysis as to why they failed. But they failed, and so our dad had lent us. When I say our, I mean me and Stavia. She's working with me on the business. So he'd lent us 5 lakh rupees, and he told us that, like, this is for you guys to run your experiments and all of that. And we'd actually hosted an event in Jamshedpur, which was a huge success qualitatively, but in the books, it ran into losses. And my part in the error was that I failed to communicate. I failed to, give, like, if I had to treat him as an investor, then I was supposed to give him like a proper report on the project about what happened, didn't happen, just in order to gain confidence and, like, do more justice than like sort of be entitled and take it for granted. So yeah, that bit happened, and we were rapidly running out of cash because I was already in Japan. Stavia and I decided that it's still worth it that I go to Japan and spend, like, some time there, meeting vendors, building partnerships, recording a lot of content. And we ended up raising, like, we raised huge credit card debt. And we were able to manage it. We did somehow, like, just between the two of us, we had to like pull out of our investments, not even savings. But that got us out of that situation, taught us a lot. And very grateful that, such an experience happened with us, because it taught us really early on what doing business actually looks like. And all of this, led me towards the turning point, which is that, like I'm 30 now. I turned 30 like probably 10 days ago. And what I realized is that every little thing, every little project that I've done in my life, no matter how unrelated they might seem, for me in my head, for are a part of, like, they made of the same fabric essentially, right? So like, be it something related to art or some consulting project that I've done, or like DJing for that matter, or hosting events. People often ask, like, my friends are like, what do you actually do? And for me, myself, this was such an interesting exercise to do, because I don't see them as unrelated activities. It's more like, I am skilled in this, and this. So, whatever project comes to me, I say yes to it. And that's how I treat it. But I also understand that it might be difficult for people to understand. And Triyanka. Yeah, Triyanka's here. But anyway, so yeah, at this point, I realized that all of these do tie into one big story. And while I was in Japan, I found that there is a better way to travel. And people usually think, when they think of travel, they're thinking of, the landmarks, the touristy spots, like the pictures that make it on Instagram, or, like the top list, top whatever. But there is a better way to travel and experience when you actually let go and give yourself into where you are. And by that, I mean that when you're experiencing a place with the locals, trying what their culture is, and, like listening to their stories, that holistically forms a much better experience than you just going to a place, clicking your pictures, and getting back home. And there was this one trip that my family took when I was really young, maybe 12 or 13, to Kashmir. And I was giving my parents this example when I was trying to tell them what I do with Japaland, is that we don't remember, none of us obviously remember the financials of the trip or how much it cost, etc. But there was this Pashmina shawl owner who invited us into his home, and like I think we spent like 3 or 4 hours there having keva, listening to their stories, and it was such a beautiful experience. And a byproduct of that was that, of course, we bought a lot of shawls and stuff, but that's not how we remember it. And that whole experience, the fact that all five of us remembered in the family, my cousin Swati was with us, was just like, a sort of reminder that you can't add a price tag to experiences, or like, moments like these. So, like when I was in Japan, I traveled a lot. I made a bunch of new friends, and I just rented a camper van and went around the country, exploring places, exploring more things to do, etc. And I found believers. So when the trips failed, I was like, okay, it's fine. You're already here. Make the most of it. So what I started doing is that I found people who were already traveling in Japan, or were meant to, and I started offering my services to them for free. And that was, I know that sounds crazy, but like any product that you make, you first need users to, sort of validate whether it's even useful or valuable to them. And long story short is that I met people, I, helped them with their itineraries. With one family, I even organized a mini excursion for them, which of course I did charge for. We're running a business after all. But yeah, like all of the feedback I got from all of this was super positive, which leads me to now that, I have full confidence and faith in the kind of journeys we curate and what we have to offer. And all of this was happening while I also hosted another Kasiredi party in Tokyo, which was actually my fourth event, where I think around 40, 50 people showed up. And these were the friends, the business relations that I'd made in Tokyo, and yeah, everything else sort of coming together. And for me, it was like sort of a big point in my journey, because previously I'd only done like, small events. This was also small from a production point of view, but the fact that within 3 months I did it in a different country was quite impressive. So all of this now, like in my head, it is already a part of the ecosystem, and it's easier for me to explain now that I have said all of this context. So for those of you for those of you who remember, By the Rules was my sort of first public project. It was a podcast, and I always intended for it to be a podcast. But the vision was always clear that what is the future of By the Rules, which is that in my head, it becomes into a content production unit where, like, I also consult as a creative director, creative producer, all the creative consulting. So basically, that's the place where stories are made. Japaland is, of course, like a travel business, and the future of it, like, I won't go much into it right now, but we're planning to make it a tech enabled platform where you can host experiences. And slowly, we also expand to other countries. And of course, Kasiredi. Kasiredi is my last name, but I also played a bit with it to make it Kasiredi, which goes with my whole personal brand of not just a DJ, but also a curator, a producer. And in the future, we plan to do more events under Casa Ready. So it's not just music events, it's like supper clubs or art exhibitions, or, it's essentially anything in the space of community building. Because all of this that I do, I feel that it's more of a cultural movement where everything is a story and everything's a part of the same strategy. So now, thank you so much, first of all. If you guys have been listening, I'm a bit thirsty. But as the proverb goes, like, it takes a village to raise a child. And here, of course, we're not talking about real human babies, but each of these projects has been a baby to me. It still is that I continue to care, grow, and nurture. And I am very well aware that, it's slow and steady sort of growth. Nothing happens overnight. And I want to thank and acknowledge everybody who showed up, like, especially all of you who you're watching this today. You could have been doing so many other things on your Sunday, especially like napping, what I would do. But yeah, like, point being that if you guys didn't show up in your, like, whatever shape, way, shape, form you did, if you didn't support me, if you didn't stand behind me like a rock, I wouldn't be here. And I totally agree that indeed it does take a village. And so today I'm asking for support once again. I really need you guys to help me take this forward, continue to grow, and take all of this. We don't know what the whole company is called yet. Yes, we do have a legal name, but of course, like, it has to be something really cool like the other three names. But whatever the future of this, I need you guys to be a part of the story. You already have so far by supporting, by showing up. And this is how you can support us further. By, like, this comes at no extra cost to you. First of all, please bring your phone out if you have another device, or, like, I'll send you guys the links later. But please, please, please go and follow Japaland on Instagram. It really helps the algorithm. It helps us reach new people, helps us tell them what we're doing. Secondly, please subscribe to my YouTube. So, similar to this, what I plan to keep doing is that I can't commit the frequency yet. I would like for it to be every week, but honestly, when you're a founder, there's like 10 other things that you're doing. But I do pledge to put out at least one monthly video which just talks about my journey and the ups and downs, which is more like a journal for us and more like a logbook for you, because tomorrow when we're doing bigger things, we want to have you guys involved in much greater capacity. And that is where you can follow the journey and, compare month zero versus month six sort of a story. And of course, the Substack. So I started a Substack. So for those of you who don't know, I love writing. I have been really good at writing for a bit, but like, I don't publish, like, I don't put out a lot of things that I write, because I feel that they're more like for personal musings and yeah, more like a personal project, so to speak. But I thought that there's definitely value in sharing what I have learned through my experiences and journey and put it out there. So I just started it like maybe like 5 days ago. So it would mean a lot if you can go and subscribe and pledge, don't pledge, that's up to you. I don't intend to start monetizing immediately, but in the future I might if I feel that I'm actually adding value to people who need it. So yes, please, first things first, please do all of this. Now, the second way you can help us is, of course, come with me to Japan, guys. In October, we're doing a trip, which is like, it's a music festival, and we're going to be camping in the forest. Some of my friends are going to be co-hosting the trip with me. You're going to be meeting like amazing people. I know some of you, this is not the vibe. You're not into camping and stuff like that, but I'm sure you know somebody who is, or if even if you are, you can just scan this. We put everything on the website. You all have my WhatsApp. You can get in touch with me directly. Like I said, this is for very close friends and family that we're doing it right now. So, yes, come explore, experience what we've been building so that it's not just yap, yap, yap. You actually get to see what we've done so far and be proud of it instead of me trying to sell it to you, right? So, yeah, come with me to Japan or please send this to a friend. And thirdly, we're officially launching a friends and family round. So this bit has been like really, really, I think this is the most vulnerable I can get about my journey as an entrepreneur, because so far, like in my entire journey, we've never raised money from outside. Of course, we've had parents support us and friends who showed in from time to time, showed up from time to time. But right now, we're officially getting in more. Early backers, people who believe in anything that I've said so far, people who have, like, so many of you have in my life at some point in the past 3 years told me that, you're willing to put in your money and not just support me like with motivation and stuff. So this is when, like, earlier, honestly, I didn't have the confidence because I wasn't clear in what I was building. But now I truly, truly am confident about what is it that lies ahead. What does the trajectory look like? What do we have to offer in return? And all of that. And so, yeah, like, I mean, our engine's ready. We've been working on it. Like, I have personally been working for it for the past decade or so, if you think about it, 4 years more consciously. And the earlier, like, just running these tinkering experiments. And Stavia and I, we've been at it for the last 6, 8 months. And engine's ready. We're running low on fuel. We're running out of cash rapidly, and we need cash to survive. The business needs to survive. Otherwise, whatever we do will still remain an idea. So, yeah, if this is of any interest, you have my WhatsApp, you have my email, just reach out to me. We'll do a call. I'll send you the deck and everything, the financials of it. And that is it, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening so far. And it's Friendships Day. I love you. And I'm so grateful you guys are here. We've wrapped up early. Yeah, we've wrapped up in like 15, 20 minutes, which is pretty cool.